Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific. This one, the Fijian Drua hosting the Highlanders. Now, with how close the top six is, this is a must-win game for this Highlanders side. But the Fijian Drua at this location in Bar, well, they sit undefeated for the Super Rugby season. Their last game was up against the Brumbies here, and they were able to win at 42 points to the 27. So they'll be looking to go 2 from 2 at this location in the upcoming game. But looking through at the starting lineups for the Fijian Drua, it will be Hireti Hatitsa, Real Tongiatama and Masaki Donge in that number 3 jersey. Asoa Nasilasila alongside Timo Mainavanua as one of the 2 co-captains for the Fijian Drua. Josefa Tamani, Kitioni Salawa and Ilia Thanakaivata is there. As at number 8, Isaac finds Lili Awasa alongside Isaiah Armstrong Ravula. Now, interesting out on the wings for this contest, it is Georgie Nasova on the left. That is not the unfamiliar face, but Frank Lamani playing as a winger in this matchup normally would be starting in that 9 jersey or even making his way off the bench, but a bit of a switcheroo for this Fijian Drua side here. Virumi Bakatawa alongside Sama Vodre as the midfielder and Izakeli Rabitu. He slots in at number 15. No real surprises that Eliza Drua Sisi is not in the starting lineup after what happened in the Super Round just last week for the Highlanders. Their starting lineup, it is Ethan de Groot, Jack Taylor and Angus Ta'aval as the 3. Ollie Haig alongside Mitchell Dunshay in the locking duo with TK Howden, Lasunga and Broughton, who had an outstanding game last week. He is there as the number 8. Pakatava and Miller as the 19 combination. Nariki out on the left wing. The co-captain, Tava Nawai in the 12 jersey with Tenuelu Talia on his outside. Then Jonah Lowe out on the right and Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins at number 15. Now, currently in Bar, it does look like there's a little bit of rain around, although we do know with the Fijian weather that it can all change in an instant. So for all we know, it could be sunny by the time this game kicks off in about 3 minutes or so's time. We have the IL and Hamish, says Robert. And there too. I will mention though, these two sides don't look ready to play yet, which is interesting. I just want to make sure we are at live. Yes, we are. So we're only theoretically 3 minutes away from the start of this game, according to when they say this match is starting. But I'm starting to get that little bit of a feeling we may be a little bit longer than that. Yeah, 2 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest, unless they were showing maybe the highlights of earlier on. Perhaps was the way that one worked out. We have got welcome to the live chat, says Ashley, and hi, says Young there. And Highlanders, says Jordan. Hi all, and Hamish, says Robert. Can you see me? I believe so, Jordan. I did see the Highlanders one just before. Glenn Jackson, the man getting interviewed at the moment. Fijian Drua coach. I think next year he's leaving this Fijian Drua side. The Fijian Drua have lost just one of their last 4 home matches. That is a pretty impressive stat. They were able to beat the Western Force. They were able to beat the Brumbies, beat the Hurricanes. I believe the only side that have beaten them at home recently would have actually been the Reds as the only game that they did lose, and they also didn't score a try during that matchup either. But looking through at the table, it is extremely close at the moment, the way that it sits for the overall top 6. Now, I will show what the table looked like at the start of the round, and this is what it was looking like. Now, I will mention as the updated table, the Hurricanes are sitting number 1. They have got a 4-point clearance over the Chiefs now after their victory over the Crusaders just last night. The Chiefs are still in second, the Blues still in third. Crusaders, they are still on the 26 points, although I think they'd actually go up to 27 for losing less than 7. And then from there, the Brumbies and the Reds, they had their matchup they're having their matchup tonight, which will actually move around the table a little bit. Also, Western Force getting themselves a good win over the Waratahs in Super Rugby Friday. So they move up onto 18 points in 9th. But if the Fijian Drua were able to win this game, the reality is they could theoretically go right up to 8th and still have a chance of the top 8. So there's some excitement will definitely be taking place and a lot of moving around for today. The Blues, they have got their game up against Moana Pacifica a little bit later on. That will be crucial for them progressing towards that top 3. People in the stands, they are drinking the kava and ready to go for this matchup. Hi guys, here's Anthony. Welcome in. Do let me know your score predictions for this game, ladies and gents. It is considered as one of the closer games of the weekend, alongside, I believe, Reds versus Brumbies is also right up there in terms of evenness. But The Fijian Drua, they have done brilliantly at home throughout the Super Rugby Pacific season. Away from home, they've had a few struggles along the way, although they were victorious up against the Brumbies in Canberra, which is something not too many sides have been able to say throughout the most recent years of Super Rugby Pacific. But the stadium in Bart, it is once again packed. People excited to see exactly how these two sides are going to be going. We are at the 4 p.m. mark, though. Seems like there are a lot of people in the stands ready to watch this game. Once again, I'm starting to get that feeling like maybe this game is a slightly later kickoff. Although, no, I think they're doing the intros and whatnot, so I'd say they're not a mile away. We have got their morning Highlanders for the win. Says Kiwi in there. Going for a Highlanders victory, which would, of course, also put them very close to that top 6. I'm also going to go like that. You know, it says it's a 4 p.m. start. So I would assume that they're only a couple minutes from making their way out onto the field. Crowd have certainly got there nice and early, though. Like I mentioned, pretty packed in terms of the overall attendance for this game. Let's go to the Drua. See, it's NZ style. Just showing some of the changes or some of the replacements. Tito Harris going to be making his way off the bench for the Highlanders. Adam Lennox as well. Someone who's been doing very nicely as a starting player for this Highlanders team. They've got Lucas Casey. They've actually probably got one of their stronger benches they've had in a wee while for this Highlanders team. But the Fijian Drua, they've got a few key players in that department as well. Kimu Valetini, that kicking. Also Asoa Tuwai, some physicality there. And the replacements up front in Tanieri, Penny Ravai, and then also, man, who's been a real impact for the Fijian Drua, and that is Kavaya Tangi Vatua as at number 16. But overall, two sides that like playing attacking styles. Did see both of these sides have very different rounds last week. The Super Round, we saw the win for the Highlanders over Moana Pacifica, the Fijian Drua. They were defeated by the Chiefs. In that game, they just started to lose their rhythm around that 25-30 minute mark. The Fijian Drua have a win. Hi again, Hamish says, Kevin, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. Both sides are just in the changing sheds at the moment. So I think more realistically about a 4:10 kickoff. Maybe 4:05 is actually on the cards here in Bar. What's your opinion on the Game Staters game? High scoring between the two sides. Very controversial to say the least, but you get that every once in a while in a Super Rugby match. But yeah, first 30 minutes felt like a whole different game to the rest of the contest. Then it kind of became a little bit more like the derbies we've seen in the past between the Satyrs and the Canes. But it ended up being a pretty high-scoring game as a whole, so I think most people enjoyed it. We have got there, good evening, Highlanders for the win. Says Indigenous All-Stars there. You're going with the men down south from Dunedin trying to get another victory, and they have got a relatively hard road to the top 6 if they were to win this contest. Just looking here at their upcoming games, they have got the Waratahs. That is a game that is a must-win. 100% if they lose that game, I believe they miss out on the top 6. But if they win that game, as well as this one in the Fijian Drua's home, they might be able to push for a top 6 spot, maybe ahead of either the Reds or the Brumbies, depending on who loses their matchup taking place later tonight. But the Chiefs and the Hurricanes, not exactly an easy way to finish the regular season matches for the Landers, which is why this game, as well as, like I mentioned, that Waratahs matchup too, becomes so much more crucial to be able to get those points. Let's go to the Landers. CSK Sladen, does the Drua move to 7th if they win this game? If they won with a bonus point, they would, which would mean that they have to win up against the Highlanders here by more than 3 tries. If they just win or actually, I think I have to take that back because Super Rugby this season, I think it's the most wins gets you there before points differential, right? In which case, they actually would move up to 7th, even if they didn't get the bonus point, if that is the separating factor in terms of the standings, as they would have 5 wins, whereas the Highlanders would only have 4. Canes at the top of the table, they are currently, yes, 4 ahead of the Chiefs, and they have both now played 10 games each. So they're both in that same position for their final rounds. Can I ask if the Crusaders season over after the loss? Not in any shape or form. They are still well and truly in it, the Crusaders. Like currently they are sitting in 4th. Of course, either the Brumbies or the Reds will go above them by the end of this round. The Highlanders can't go above them. So at worst, Crusaders are going to be sitting in probably 5th at the end of this round. They've still got a few more hard New Zealand derbies, but couple wins at home, and they'd be able to get inside of that overall top 6. I'm enjoying I will enjoy Nelson, fine weather. When I was there, going back again on June 21st. Are you doing the Women's State of Origin on Thursday night? I think the Women's State of Origin took place a couple nights ago too, didn't it? I think we're going to be doing the Men's State of Origin this year, though, by the looks of it. It doesn't seem to overlap with too many other things. What times? The big games tonight. What do you consider as the big games? I guess the Reds Brumbies would be considered as the biggest match, right? And that one's going to be taking place at 9:35 p.m. The game that's supposed to be the most one-sided out of any contest, Blues versus Moana Pacifica, that's kicking off at 7:05. I don't know if that's the one you consider the big game, because that's kind of third versus last on the table. So I'd assume, yeah, Brumbies versus Reds, 9:35, and that will be very determining in terms of who finishes inside of that top 6. How can the Crusaders stay top 6? Win a game. That's almost all that they need. Maybe 2 just to be safe, but like they're in 4th at the moment. Worst case scenario, they go down to 5th. Still all right. I think a lot of sides would take that, but they got the New Zealand derbies around the corner too. Highlanders have no chance, can't win at home, won't win in Fiji. That's where they may surprise you, because the Fijian Drua, for so long, they are probably the perfect example of, like, you never know what's going to happen in an away game of Super Rugby. For 3 years, we thought every single time that the Fijian Drua played someone away from home that they were just not going to win. But then they beat one of the hardest sides to beat away from home only a few weeks ago. So you just get that little feeling like, don't get me wrong, the Highlanders have had their ups and downs, but if they play well here, they can beat the Fijian Drua. But it's going to be very tough to do with the fact that, you know, they are away from home, but that can also add a little bit more motivation. And I think that the Highlanders know this game is do or die now for their season. Any under-20s games this weekend? There is on Monday. They are taking place Monday morning. Don't count the Highlanders out. Yeah, they've got a good side, and I mentioned this is probably the strongest bench we've seen for the Highlanders in quite some time. They are about to do the bolle before this match does get underway. And also we have got there the first men's origin is 27th of May at 10:05. That is correct. European matches. So there is the Leinster versus Toulon at 2 a.m. New Zealand time, and at 4:30 a.m. if you count the Challenge Cup as your big matches too. That is Ulster versus Exeter at 4:30 a.m. New Zealand time. If these sides though fired up for this contest, the Highlanders are also doing a huck here by the looks of it. So a little bit of a standoff between these two sides. The Landers, they are wearing their white kit for this matchup. Mothi Tava Nawai, one of the co-captains of this Highlander side. How many hours are you streaming for tonight? Probably about 8. Somewhere around there. Haino's going to be doing the Reds versus Brumbies match. About outside of that, I've still got about 8 hours worth, which is still quite a few. It seems like it's a slightly more casual weekend, but it's really not in terms of the sleep schedules. Show them Drua. Says Ralulu there. Yeah, this game is the equivalent of whoever wins this still has a chance of qualifying for the top 8, or sorry, the top 6. Will we be up for the European match? Yes. I haven't got them scheduled yet, though, seeing as it's very early morning in Europe. But I'll probably be streaming or scheduling them in between these two games, more than likely. Do you like the Force vs. Stars game? Took a while to get going, didn't it? Definitely in that second half. They mentioned on the commentary at one point that the Waratahs had gone about 28 minutes without running the ball into the Western Force's 22. And the Force just couldn't quite get that big moment that was going to completely secure them the game. But in the end, they did win it. And that was a pretty big one. Why didn't you stream it, Irish? Because I decided I'd just watch that one. And normally games are better when I don't stream them. So I was hopeful that that was going to be the case with that one too. Why does Jamie Joseph sign Solomon and not give him a single minute? It's idiotic. And why the hell is Daniel Leonard Brown still there? He's been there since 2016, most of the time not make the bench, says Jordan. In terms of Stanley Solomon, I would say that they've probably seen something in terms of either the way that he plays, or they're just trying to get him adapted into the Highlanders style. Sometimes the worst thing you can do for a young player is chuck them in the deep end. So it might not completely come down to the way that Stanley Solomon's playing or anything like that, because I think he's still playing for the development side, right? He's getting opportunities there, so they might just be trying to mold him into some sort of like slightly more higher up playing so that he can then jump into there, because who are they losing next year, the Highlanders? I think they've got a couple guys going on the road, so that's probably when you'll see Stanley Solomon get more of a chance, but it's going to be kicked off by Cam Miller. Nicely taken by Frank Lamani and dropped the ball already. He is playing as, oh no, in fact it was the 15 there, Ezekiel Rabitu. That one's going to be kicked downfield. And we have got there, what games are there later tonight? So there is Moana Pacifica versus the Blues. That has taken place at 7:05. There is the Reds versus Brumbies at 9:35. And then also 2 European Champions Cup games throughout the night at 2 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. Now rolling this one back. Lau Fakatava. Oh, that one's actually come off his teammate's foot there. Or he is able to put that ball up high down towards the halfway line. Nice take from Timothy Tavanawai. Offloads on the inside to Jonah Lowe. He breaks through one tackle. Can't quite get through. Isaac finds Leliawasa though. Was able to scramble back. Now Fakatava, if they fire this out to the left, they should be able to score here, the Highlanders. It is just drawing past. That was a rough pass to Jonah Nareki. And the ball has been lost from the Highlanders. That really should have been finished. The drawer. They get the possession back. It just took too long from the Highlanders. Nareki received a bounce pass, so he was pretty much given no shot of being able to run down the wing like he initially should have been able to. But it seemed like it was slow motion for the Highlanders getting that attack going. That one's going to be booted into touch by Fainzaleli Awasa. It is now going to be the line out for the Highlanders, about 25 metres out from the Fijian Drua line. How do you watch the European 70% tackle complete Farmers Timu League in New Zealand? You have to pay money for it. It's on the EPCR TV app. Champions Cup been really solid this year, though. In terms of some of the matches that we have seen, some really nice close playoff games already taken place. Hopefully these ones will be the same. That was a miscommunication. Jack Taylor has thrown the pass to Lasanga, who has been tackled, and it will go back now for a Fijian Drua scrum, or at least it would have. But they have kicked it into touch instead for Isaiah Armstrong Ravula. And we have got there, come on Highlanders, standards boys, settle it down. Says Jack there. Second we'll go like this. And like that as well. They threw Tito Harris right in. Says Jordan, well obviously they saw more potential in him for now. Or obviously he matched the game plan of Jamie Joseph that little bit better. He's got a bit more size than Stanley Solomon as well. So that doesn't really surprise me. Now ball's there for the Fijian Drua. Come on, the Highlanders standards boys, settle it down, says Jack. Yeah, seeming a little bit almost chaotic in the first couple of minutes there for the Highlanders. Finds Liliawasa. Going for the box kick again, down towards the halfway line. Taken by Cam Miller. He has knocked the ball on. Oh no, in fact, it's going to be a penalty awarded to the Fijian Drua. Clearly played the ball in an offside position, so it does go the way of the draw for the offside against the Landers. This one will be a bit too far out to be able to kick for the posts. It's a good sized crowd in Batu, big grandstand. It's completely full of people. A lot of Fijian Drua shirts. There are also quite a few Highlanders shirts in the stands. And the Highlanders playing like idiots. No look passes, knock-ons. Says Jordan. That one's going to be put into touch by Isaiah Armstrong Ravula. This one will be about 26 metres out from the line now. Fijian Drua, their first real attacking chance inside of the Highlanders half here. 4 minutes into the contest. Line out for Zaril Tongiatama. G'day, Hamish. Any thoughts on the ref between Canes and Crusaders? Very interesting. The refereeing as a whole. There were probably multiple decisions, definitely in the last about 20 minutes, that you could have looked at and gone, maybe he didn't make the right choice. Of course, it was a big pressure match, New Zealand derby, but yeah, he didn't have his best game, unfortunately, as a whole, which is a shame because, you know, it means that people say that the result is slightly tainted in some regards, which, like, yeah, it's a difficult one. There were some big calls, but I feel like there were times where he maybe got it wrong for both sides, which slightly makes it better if you're going to have an off day as a ref. Now Fakatava On the way to the left-hand side here for TK Howden. In fact, that would have been Nick Broughton, actually. The number 8 jersey, Fakatava, now kicking this one downfield for another box kick. Nicely almost slipping underneath. The challenge there was Georgie Nasova. As the coverage has gone dark screen here in New Zealand. Very diplomatic, says Thuds Race. The coverage is always so bad, says Jordan. Yeah, it seems like the clock is still ticking over. It's just we don't actually know what's happening on the field at this point in time. A little chipping behind from the Highlanders. Waiting for the bounce of the ball. Nicely taken by Tuidraki Samovodre. Now screen here to Owen's back. Says Thuds Race. Now finds a Lelewasa. That one's put into touch again. Miller, no chance of taking that one quickly. Just controlled it with his foot. He's still got that strapping on from last week. I remember that last-minute kick he was taken for the Highlanders in their game up against Moana Pacifica. They had to stop it so that they could patch him up. He had blood streaming down his face. I've just mentioned there how it is still warm in Fiji for this one. Nice run forward from Timothy Tavatanawai. Even the group plays halfback. Gives it off to Jack Taylor. Trying to make those meters here, the Landers. So they're going to do another position where they have potential of being able to score the try. Angus Ta'aval goes himself. Almost got isolated. Jack Taylor pick and go. That is all three of the front rowers getting involved there for the Highlanders. TK Howden trying to break through Varimi Bakatawa. Locks right over. Just slipped off the ball. Tricky business pronouncing some of the Fijian names. Says Jack in there. Yeah, there are a few that haven't quite rolled off my tongue yet. The replacement hooker is one. Kavaya Tangivatua, whose name I normally slightly mispronounce. I think I even did there. Now backline movement. Jonah Lowe. Tackled low by Isaac. Finds Lelewasa. Now Fakatawa. Goes back across. Ta'aval. Seems like it's only a matter of time here before someone finds their way over the goal line. Aveni Lasanga, big two-man tackle on him. And also Drua says Pravinda there. And also we've got their morning, says Kyle, welcome in. Or backline movement. Now Miller goes across to Tavanawai to Ratamaitavuki. Napkins puts in a little grubber. But Jonah Lowe chases after a ball drop there by Frank Lamani. Finds Lelewasa. He's running to his own in-goal area. He almost put that ball down. In fact, he's got to be very careful not to accidentally ground it, or else it would have been a 5-metre scrum. Nice one, just kick it away, says Jordan. Now, still in the field of play is the calling from the referee. Now into the pocket, and Lamani keeps it low. Kicks it to about 25 metres out. They considered the quick throw there, the Highlanders. Side against it in the end. When this game starting, the game has started. It is currently 8 minutes into the contest, 0-0 between these two sides. It was initially going to be kicking off at 4 p.m, but it did start at 4:10 instead. We actually lost ground there, said Jordan. Possession at the moment, 65% for the Highlanders, 82% in the territory department for the side. That ball's popped out the back to Fakatava again. Now Timothy Tavatanawai. Tackled low by Lamani. Playing in that number 14 jersey. I'm not too sure whether or not that is injury-based or whether there's something in the strategy. Maybe it's because of all of the options. I've got interception now for the Fijian Drua. It's going to become a foot race. It looks like Georgie Nasova's trying to stay in support, but they couldn't quite work it out. And Jonah Nariki, he did everything he could have to try and get that steal, and in the end wasn't quite given it by Jacob Ratamaitavuki because he also wasn't given the penalty. Lamani has the man on the inside. It's Varimi Vakatawa, and that will be the first try of the contest. And it's the Fijian Drua who has struck first in bar. We have the FF, says Jordan. Who's the referee for this game, says Kyle Julius. Who was it? I saw him before, and I think I may have even said his name earlier on in the stream. But they are just showing a glitchy shot of the crowd. It was almost trying to cut out a little bit, but they are just showing the replay. Varimi Vakatawa. A nice support run. Georgie Nasova was almost too quick for his teammate. Paul Williams says Jordan is the man in charge. Then the wide cutter pass to Lamani, and that's just a well-timed pass to Varimi Vakatawa. Mothi Tava Nawai, he was too busy on the outside trying to cover Lamani. I felt bad for the Satyrs fans. That ending was funny. I really casually kicking it to Love. Love was like shots and kicked it out. Yeah, that was a really weird way to end the game, although we have seen a bit of that throughout the last about 3 or 4 months. The amount of times I've seen a side go for a cross kick and they haven't won is much higher than the amount of teams I've seen go for a cross kick and win a game from it. You know, it's like when you need 7 points to be able to draw and they decide to go for the cross kick, which would make them score in the corner and make it a near-on impossible kick. You know, in windy conditions. We saw that up north. One of the Champions Cup games, I think it was. That just made me scratch my head out of disbelief. But, yeah, people love a cross kick. I did notice that. I know Harveli got a lot of stick, but Curtis McDonald was yelling for that ball on the wing as well. The 21-year-old obviously saw a bit of a gap that didn't involve a Ruben Love just taking the ball off and kicking it into touch. Now, run 4 from Ezekiel Rabitu. He actually claimed the last kickoff as well, but the score 7-0 now in favour of the Fijian Drua after the conversion has gone over. Super Rugby should have a rubbishist. That's a hard word to say. Chip/cross kick award. Really definitely top of the list, says Studs Race. Well, there's been a couple others this year, though, hasn't there? Which game was it that we had a cross kick that the opposition got and then they scored off? I think it was one of the earlier rounds, unless I'm getting it confused with one of the European comps. But yeah, there's been some rough ones. I already know who wins the worst grubber kick. That has to go to Eliza Drua Sisi, obviously, for that one last week. When was the last time you had a cheeseburger? Like just a plain cheeseburger? I don't actually really know. I had a barbecue bacon double cheeseburger from Burger King probably a couple months ago, if that counts. Angus Ta'aval, giving Jack Taylor a little bit of information there. The Highlanders are on attack, about 15 metres out from the line. Now, Vivini Lasanga going off to the left-hand side. That's a big driving tackle. Turned $20 into $100 on the TAB last night, so a great start to the weekend. Was that the 4 out of the 6 one? How it was Lester Finer, Nuku, Cody Taylor. Who else was in there as well? I think Macca Springer maybe. And then 3 Hurricanes players who all had to score. I know that was quite a popular one from the sounds of it. Now Ethan de Groot joining that breakdown. Palau Fakatava sitting about 5 metres out from the try line with Ollie Haig. Fakatawa stepping on the inside. Yeah, it was that bet. There you go. Yeah, looking to steal this one in the breakdown where the Fijian Drua just not quite able to get it as of yet. Tell you what though, now they've got it. He's done extremely well there to keep his body in the air, or like at least up off the ground so that he didn't collapse there. I think it was Herete Hitit. It just came on. Where's this game being played? It is being played in Ba, a location where the Fijian Drua are undefeated for this season. They did beat the Brumbies by 15 at this location. Rubber kick and your in goal is quite a strong candidate, says Studs Race. You are due a cheeseburger. You see, nowhere local really does a decent cheeseburger as a whole. So I might have to have it the next time I go more than like 30 minutes away. Because then that's where you get to the different burger places. Line out here for the Highlanders, 20 metres out. Highlanders for the win, calling it. Says Bush Pig. Now Fakatawa. Passes across to Timothy. Tava na wai. Another pass. One more to the right-hand side. This is open space. Jacob Ratamaita Vuki Nepkins goes to Jonah Lowe, who's hurt his arm in the process of scoring. I think it might have been either forearm, wrist, or something. Oh, no, it's actually a knuckle by the looks of it. Or, yeah, something in the hand. Jonah Lowe does not look too happy with it, but he has scored the 5th try of the season for the Highlanders if this one is good. Which it seems like it will be. But he does not look in a good way at the moment. James Lowe, that hand. Maybe his pinky. I'm going to see the replay now. Timothy Tava Nawai lowered in 2 defenders. Then got the offload away to Miller. Had Ratamaita Vuki Nepkins on his outside. And that is not an easy finish there for Jonah Lowe. I think just in the process of putting that ball down, maybe he's twisted that finger. We're going to see the replay now. Yeah, that's what's happened. What's Well, pretty much what he's done is he's trapped his finger underneath the ball and then slammed it down at an awkward angle. Hopefully he is going to be all right. They are still checking on him. That kick has gone over as well. That is now going to make the score 7-all between the two sides. Tell you what, that's close, says Studs Race. And also with their forward, says Mark. We've learnt throughout this weekend that forward passes are not really a thing in Super Rugby for this round. Looks fine from that angle, though, I will say. You could be more of a hamburger kind of guy, says Pro Pleb. So what's the difference? Is that without cheese that you get a hamburger? Because I just call everything a burger. I don't really go into like whether it's a cheeseburger or anything. I just say a burger. Which I guess leaves a lot of questions. If the Canes and the Chiefs were to play Bordeaux and Bath, which two teams you reckon would win? Where are they playing? If they play Bordeaux in Bordeaux, neither of those sides I think even get close. Sounds harsh, but Bordeaux at home are just a different beast at the moment. But I think if Bordeaux come to New Zealand, I don't think they beat either of the teams either. So whoever's got home field advantage probably wins in that reality. Oh, a little bit of a slap on the back of the head from Ilya Thunakaivata to himself after knocking it on. Give me a nice nap. Butter, bacon, no sauce. Oh, nice bap. I was thinking you were having a nap and then waking up cooking your bacon and butter and then a little bit of hot sauce that might be actually rather than no sauce. 16 minutes into the contest, 7-all between these two sides. Okay, injured player is up, so the water has to make its way from the field. I think they might do the 20-minute drinks break like they normally would for a game in Fiji. Yeah, packed out crowd in attendance, which is fantastic to see. Now, big scrum opportunity here for the Highlanders. They are still on the attack. Who do you reckon is going to win the URC? The Stormers are an interesting one. The Bulls might be peaking at the right time. But I do still think if Glasgow can get the home field advantage the whole way through, they may do it again. I think that it all comes down to whether or not the South African sides are once again at home or away. Because in the URC, we've seen that brilliant home record for pretty much every side. But then away from home, completely different story. Should be criminal to put pineapple on a burger, says Pro Pleb. Which I thought that 4:30 p.m. what changed? No, it was initially going to be a 4 p.m. kickoff for this contest. Normally they are 4:35, but this one was starting slightly early. But they did actually start at 4:10 rather than 4 for the timing. Lau Fakatava was about to put that ball into the scrum, but the referee will once again reset the two front rows. They are just saying about Lau Fakatava having the game for Moana Pacifica before Moana Pacifica were even in the Super Rugby comp. Love a decent Hawaiian burger, says Mark. I don't think I've ever had pineapple in a burger. Like, because I like pineapple. It's just I haven't ordered that many burgers. Maybe that's my problem. I once tried onion rings on a pizza. That was a terrible idea. I firmly stand against that. Grubber in behind from Jonah Nareke. Close to the sideline. Came off Jacob Ratamatafuki Nipkins. It's going to be now line out here for the Fijian Drua. About 10 metres out from the line. Who does Tame Robinson play for provincially? I can find out. I don't know why I'm thinking Southland or something south. Who does he play for? Oh no, he's a Tasman boy. Probably in good company then. Now into the pocket. Downfield from Isaiah Armstrong Ravula. Oh yeah, no, because he puts up the fin, doesn't he? Now that I think about it. So that should have been the giveaway. Hey says, what's up guys? Welcome in. Carry so far, 27 for the Highlanders, 18 for the Fijian Drua. Was the referee saying calm down or come down in that scenario? To the Fijian Drua, I got challenged, name your top 10 OG fans. Says Brandon. That sounds like it would get me into trouble with the old school viewers. So Armstrong Ravula. Going back across to Remy Vakatawa. Tackled on the halfway line by Vavini Lasanga. Oh, but tackle on Tuidaraki Samo Vodre. And the turnover there for Timothy Tava kicking it in behind. It's going to become a bit of a foot race, although that ball may just go into the in-goal area. Yes, it does. And there's a Kelly Rabitu. So able to jump onto that one and not have any sort of chance. 4 NZ versus 1 F. 4 NZ versus 1 F. I have no idea what that means. We have there. Ireland scored another transfer stroke. And England 7, or excuse me if I said the same word twice, says Kyle. They are just going to have the 20-minute drinks break here due to the heat that they are facing in Bar. So far, Fijian Drua, 88% tackle completion. The Highlanders with an 80% tackle completion throughout this contest. Seen the early try from Remy Vakatawa and then answered back with a try from Jonah Lowe. Could easily go either way for these two sides, though, currently. After that first quarter, I don't think we've learnt too much about who is the full momentum. I would say that the Highlanders have had more attacking chances, but the Fijian Drua, they've looked the more composed. In that first 20, I had a Big Mac or Mac Attack combo consisting of 1 Big Mac and 1 quarter pounder and a medium chips in 6 minutes. I was impressed with myself. That sounds like it. Wait, so that's 2 burgers, chips in 6 minutes. See, the chips you have to eat first, don't you? Now we have you there. Are you covering all 3 games tonight? No. So I will be doing the first 2, this one as well as Moana Pacifica versus the Blues. And then Haino's going to be doing Brumbies versus Reds because I feel bad. Because the last time that he was going to be covering it, we did see the unfortunate reality of Lightning delaying that game. 5th New Zealand versus 1st Fiji. Oh, you're going off the rankings of the teams, right? So are you saying like it's good or it's bad, or what's the comparison other than just listing where the sides are on the table? We have there, did you taste it, says BTW Bads at a pro pleb. And trying to sucker me in talking about food, says Robert. I did taste it for a moment. Well, that's the main thing. As long as you almost felt like you had eaten something, that's the key to success. Few Highlanders supporters in the stands in Fiji by the looks of it. Jonah Lowe is the best Jonah ever to play rugby, says Colossus. Interesting. Now, kicking this one downfield. Nicely taken on the halfway line. Now running forward, it is Broughton. Oh, big shot on him. Why are they going for the box kick there? It's actually going to work out, though, other than the fact that they've knocked it on the Highlanders. So the only time that mathematically, or the only team that can mathematically not make the top 6 is Moana? I believe so, yeah. Now Lamani running down the wing. Tackled by Jonah Lowe. A gosh, lightning delay becomes more common now. Yeah, we've seen it a few times in the Aussie derbies. Now back into the pocket. As Armstrong Ravula does kick that one into that. Really had 20 minutes before work and needed dinner, so the main goal was accomplished, says Pro Pleb. Bad for the Highlanders. Oh, okay, so it was an insult towards the Highlanders rather than just a random statement. I get you. A line-out throw here for the Highlanders. Nicely taken by Jack Taylor, or sorry, by TK Howden from the throw of Taylor and the rolling ball. Now going to be setting up. This one's not really going anywhere as of yet, so it looks like Fakatava again will go for the box kick. That is where I know a lot of people have criticised Fakatava as of late. It's the fact that it just seems to be the tactic when he's out there on the field that they will just keep on booting that ball away. Reds vs Rugby should be good. I expect Blues vs Moana Pacific to be a try-fest by one team. Says Jasmine. Yeah, that game's expected to be the most one-sided in terms of the overall weekend. Hopefully Moana can put up a bit of a fight, but realistically there are some big names back in the Blues setup. Side that we were able to sneak by in Golden Point last week up against the Reds. But as we've seen, Super Rugby changes week to week. You have one game where you struggle, and then the next game you look like you're the best team in the comp. Oh, Rabitu looks for the offload there. That looked forward, but I think it's actually deflected off a Highlanders arm, which is what brought the ball in a forwards direction. We have got there, you should lead a supporters tour at an AB's game. I don't think anyone would show up. I think it would just be me in that case. Now, another advantage, in fact, penalty will be awarded by the Fijian Drua. And not those box kicks again, says Jack. Yeah, there's a few of them already that we've seen in this contest. Speaking of McDonald's, that South African McDonald's menu looks amazing. I haven't actually looked at it. I looked at their chicken prices, and they're decent as a whole. Right, scrum feed. I've seen 3 handling errors from the Highlanders. Right, so this is actually, rather than a penalty advantage, it was the knock-on advantage. 22 minutes in. They have chili cheese fries and wedges. Very unique, I must say. Says Pro Pleb. Because who is that here? Not wedge. Or who had wedges? Someone had wedges for a bit, didn't they? I think Pizza Hut and Domino's might both have. No, just Pizza Hut has wedges. And then chili cheese fries, I think. Does Burger King do that now? Do they call it like a loaded fries or something like that? Now going away to the right-hand side. Moving on and going for the grubber. Sits up for Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nipkins. How long is the drinks break, bro? It's already got back underway. It's normally 3 minutes that they are allowed, or they call it officially the cooling break, but that sounds weird, so I just call it a drinks break. And Draw will win this game, says Sakiusa. Well, currently they're not doing too badly. He's trying to get some momentum before this half is over. Nice run forward from Remy Vakatawa. Yeah, I think Burger King does that, says Pro Pleb. Yeah, see, the problem with us here in New Zealand is you got to go to multiple places if you want to, get, I guess, what they just have on the one menu. Now hit it. So, those couple post-contact meters. Currently another advantage and play for the Fijian Drua. So that discipline now of the Highlanders starting to let them down a little bit. Big run from the co-captain, Timo Mayanavanu'a. Now across to open space on the right-hand side. Tamofi Tavatavanawa has to make the tackle. Quick hands from the draw, though, off the offload. Now Ezekiel Rapitu, he gets through and he scores the try for the Fijian Drua. That now gives them the lead back. Moving to South Africa just for the Maccas. Now that one is going to be a brilliant try. Why don't rugby players use AFL football for fitness? Just in general, I assume that they've got their own fitness regimens that they follow. I know that some of the rugby union guys use rugby sevens as their fitness training, and in some aspects they always say that some of the fittest guys around are the guys from the seven setup because of that start-stop sprinting type of motion. But I guess it also depends on what type of fitness you're after. Because fitness in football is probably a little bit different to fitness in rugby. You know, in football, you're not running into the breakdowns. You're not taking a whole heap of contact when you go in there. So then you've probably got to do a little bit more on the body contact type of situation in rugby, which doesn't really need it. Probably AFL wouldn't be a mile away. Oh, off the post for, it was Armstrong Ravula. So 25 minutes in, 12-7. The score. Do the Highlanders have many injuries still? They've still got a few on the injury list. I think most of these sides currently do, unfortunately. For the Highlanders, their injury list is, they've got Caleb Tangitau out with a concussion. He's out for 1 to 2 weeks. That was after that big shot from Sullivan. Finn Hurley, he only just came back and now he's out again with the 3 to 5 weeks hamstring injury. Bartlett's out for a foot. Sefu Kautai out for his knee, 1 to 2 weeks. Ty Cribbs out for shoulder, 1 to 2 weeks. Dylan Pledger for the season. Fabian Holland for the season. Tingblad for the season. And Rijan Pasitoa for the season. That's the way that the injuries sit at the moment. Fijian Drua, they've actually done pretty well injury-wise. In terms of their whole Super Rugby season, they've only got Ponepati Loganamasi, Mutakai Murray, and Peli Momo, who's been out for a long time. I think they should introduce relegation. What does Super Rugby? There's not enough teams as it is. Who are you bringing in? Like, there's not, like, as an NPC teams. And why kick the ball back to the Fijians? Hold on to them, deprive them of possession, says Hartley. I love the Highlanders. They are cursed, says Just Poker. They also have chili cheese chicken tenders. They sound good. And now, pick and go from Mitch Dunshay. About 35 metres out from the line now. Ollie Haig. Another pick and go. Someone's screaming for offside, but they haven't been given it as of yet by Paul Williams. And Crazy given the draw of the ball, says Mark. Now wait to the left-hand side. Jonah Lowe. Ratamaita Vuki. Nepkins goes to Jonah Nariki, who is pushed into touch. It's going to be a line out here for the draw. 20 out from their line. I saw that, and that's what's got me going, says BTW Badzer. Another line out for Zarel Tongiatama. Always excellent debrief. Do they get paid when injuries occur? They'd get some sort of salary. I don't think they get as much if you're like out for a season ender, but they'd have something in their contract. A bit similar to most other sports, how you get like a playing wage if you are playing week in, week out. And then I think there's even in some contracts, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's even if you're playing that game that week, you get more money. Depending on, I think some of the contracts are written up in really technical, you know, you play a game, you get it paid a certain amount. If you're in the squad, but you're not playing, you get an amount. And then if you're injured, you get an amount, that type of thing. I was struggling to pronounce the Fijian 13, so that is Tuidraki Samasama Vodre. And yeah, his name was definitely a mouthful for a start. Going away to the right, Cam Miller decides to kick the ball, something different from the Highlanders. That was sarcasm, but it might work out. Oh, never mind. Timothy Tavatavanawa has knocked that ball on. The Fijian Drua get the ball back and they kick it into touch. Fixed it. Light went out, but light now back on. 3 times Nariki has got the ball one-on-one. Kicks and not good kicks, says Hartley. I've always called on the call, but I would love it. Carry so far from Timothy Tavatavanawa. He's had 6 for 38 metres, which makes you wonder why he isn't running it more, or why the Highlanders aren't running the ball more. Now, Whakatava going away to TK Howden, 5 metres out. Looks like a bit of an injury there for Zarel Tongiatama, but brilliant work in the breakdown. And the Fijian Drua have taken it back again. See, that makes it a little bit tricky, because you're in that scenario here, how they kick the ball away, the Highlanders, right? Which is not ideal. They keep on losing it when they do that. But then they try and run it, and then the Fijian Drua rip it away from them in the breakdown. So you can probably understand a little bit of the slight confusion as to the Highlanders' game plan of what they actually are supposed to be doing here. Because every time they get close to the draw line, someone like a Kitione Salawa just goes in and grabs it and takes it back for his team. And Super Rugby America finalists. So you said promotion relegation before. So you're going to add whoever wins Super Rugby America and then, send the other team from Super Rugby Pacific to Super Rugby Americas for a season. And then if they win, they get to come back. Kind of like, I guess, deporting them from the competition and then eventually maybe bringing them back. The 2 best Fijian players, oddly enough, are playing for the non-Fijian team, says Jason. Tell you what, I think a couple of the Fijian Drua boys are definitely up there for man of the match candidates. At the moment, we've seen some great work from Vrimi Whakatawa in that number 12 jersey. Seen some of the forwards really doing nicely in those breakdowns too. And again, turnover, says Mark. Yeah, so that does make it a little bit difficult, I think, for the Highlanders. Maybe a bit more complex than just they don't want to run the ball and that's why they're kicking it. I think it's just that the Fijian Drua, for now, have exposed a little bit of a weakness in the Highlanders game, which involves getting those players in to be able to protect the ball in the breakdown. The Fijians are getting their ball because the Landers loose forwards are not getting into the rucks, exactly. So they need to maybe play a little bit more, compress the Highlanders, try and get a couple more players right next to the breakdowns, try and just get some phases going. The breakfast menu looks good too, says PTW Padza. And you made the UFO worse? The UFO? What was the UFO? And may the best team win, says Moa Hunters. There was another drop ball from the Highlanders there, which has led now to the Fijian Drua having a scrum. This is a very good position on the field to be 31 and a half minutes through this first 40. Still the lead here for the Fijian Drua. It would encourage work ethic. So your idea is literally right, to send a team based out of either New Zealand, Australia, or Fiji to South America to encourage work ethic. I am stating that correctly, right? Penalty. And that is going to go the way of the Highlanders. It was Timothy Tavatava Nawai this time. The blue screen behind you, the UFO. Yeah, it's just chilling up there. Or there, depending on, I always have it in reverse, so I think it would actually be this side, right? No, it would actually be this side, because that's not reversed. Well, it is, but it's not, compared to the overlays. I believe. Chili cheese double burger sounds good. It sounds like you guys are planning like a group trip to South Africa just to eat food. And I am all for it. Let me know when it's happening. Cam Miller. We'll kick that ball into touch for the Highlanders after they won the penalty. First scrum. I think we had one earlier on in the game too. The Highlanders had one about 30 metres out from the Fijian Drua line. It got reset 3 times. But eventually that ball did come out. No, the last team. Yeah, like the last team in the Super Rugby comp, you're sending to South America. There's my right. Says Robert there in terms of what side. Kick down the middle of the field. Nicely taken again. That one's gone long. As you get a photo of each stadium to have matching. Wait, you should get a photo for each stadium to have matching in the background. Says Defunk, we kind of do it a little bit. Although for a lot of teams, we've just got the base stadium. You know, like when the Hurricanes were playing in Porirua, we just had Sky Stadium. Fijian Drua, we've got a little bit the same. How they've got the stock standard. I think is it Latoka that we've got behind us here? Maybe. Or I might have it confused. Jamie's not doing himself any favours to be AB's coach. Well, he wasn't getting the job anyway. Rennie was giving them what they wanted to hear, and he's ended up in that position now. But strenuous was the way it was described in terms of the panel's picking and decisions. Whakatawa. Go high again with the kick. Oh, okay, that's ended up in the hands of Josefa Tamani, and there was a knock on. We're all going to South Africa for Macca's. That definitely steps up the level of Macca's run. You know, normally that's like a pop down the road and get something at 2 a.m. That's get on a plane for 14 hours from Australia. First of all, you got to get to Aussie. There are probably many Macca's you would pass on the way, but they don't have the menu that you're after. Fiji's menu is almost identical to New Zealand, with 2 key differences being a scrambled egg McMuffin and a brekkie burger with a chicken patty, egg, hash brown, cheese, and barbecue sauce. Scrambled egg McMuffin sounds alright. Sometimes I do prefer when it's all mixed up rather than just the yolk and the white. So, like, if I ever end up in Fiji, I'm sure there's a lot of other foods that I would have to try that aren't McDonald's, but maybe we try that as well. Going away to the right-hand side. To be fair, a breakfast burger with, like, a chicken patty sounds alright too. As well. Now 22 metres out for the line. Going across to the left. This is a bit of a counter-attacking chance for the Fijian Drua. Ball on the inside of Frank Lamani. He's in a foot race with Jacob Ratamataviki-Nepkins. He's ended up missing the ball, Lamani, in the attempt to kick it. Almost a fly kick from that man. Oh, they've box kicked again. Although, steep bouncing ball. It's nicely taken on. Miller's legs gave out from underneath him. He could have potentially scored it, but just couldn't quite find his way through. Counter ruck from Isaiah Armstrong Ravula. And the Fijian Drua take the ball back again. Or do they? Note penalty goes the way of the Highlanders. To actually think about it, a rugby career isn't wise, says Splash TV. Well, it depends on how determined you are. And also a little bit in terms of how skilled you are from the get-go. Because I can't remember what the stat was, but I heard it the other day when it came to like the South African setup. And I think it's like 0.00 0.01 or something like that percent of players actually get an opportunity professionally. So you have to really be that top 0.0001%, and you've got to want it more than everyone else below you in terms of that percentage. And also, yeah, like you say, an ACL, that doesn't help the equation. Oh, that's a nice rolling ball, though. So one ever Kenner has gone over for the try. No, sorry, it's Jack Taylor. He's still in the starting lineup, so one making his way off of the bench. But it's the finishing try. In fact, it might even be Vavini Lasanga who popped up with that ball. They did transfer it backwards. Yeah, Vavini Lasanga, the try scorer. We are now 12 points to 12. We have got there. McDonald's is quite versatile. Japan is unique with a rice dish or two. Okay, Falau Fakatava just getting a bit of a warning there from Paul Williams saying you didn't impact that rolling ball, but make sure you're on side next time, or at least back the 10 metres when it comes to that maul. I kind of hope they have Subway in Bangkok. What's your go-to Subway dish? Or your sub, I guess. Yeah. Or it could be a dish, to be fair. They have like a salad thing and they have a wrap, don't they? That kick has gone over. And that is going to make the score with 2 minutes remaining in this first half. Now 14 points to the 12. We actually went to Subway last week on our way back from that road trip that I mentioned about. And the look I got from Subway because we had already had tea or dinner, depending on where you are in the world. So I decided, you know what, we'll get some cookies. And they gave me a look as if such a judgmental one, because I just ordered 6 cookies, which I guess you're not really supposed to do when Subway's supposed to be healthy. But the cookies were good. I didn't eat 6, by the way. I gave 1 to my grandparents each, and then also my mum. On the way to the left-hand side, Vavini Lasanga. Anyone who knows maths knows that that means I did have 3. But it's neither here nor there. Fakatava, outside of the 22. We'll kick this one downfield again here for the Highlanders. Nicely taken by Isaiah Armstrong, Ravula. Rabitu. On across to the right-hand side. Oh, thought about the inside ball. Georgie Nasova. Didn't quite get the offload away. Bacon and eggs sound pretty good. Or bacon and eggs pizza. That's an interesting combo. Eggs on a pizza, I don't know about, but I'd be happy to try it. Back problems when done with rugby. I think most jobs give you back problems, unfortunately. Office jobs are the same. So I guess if you love your rugby, you might as well. Now running down the wing was Frank Lamani. Now going to the right-hand side. Now it finds Leliwasa. It's knocked on by the drawer. At least it looked like it, but it seems like it's going to be play on. No, now they're going back for that knock on. About 10 seconds remaining in this first half. The real question is, what cookies did you get? Well, I didn't want to take any risks, so I just went with plain chocolate chip. And also it was late at night, so they didn't really have the full variety of them. I think there were only like 2 or 3 types, so I just went chocolate chip. It was nice and easy. The top players don't touch 3 mil. True, unless they play in the R360, but people wanted to get rid of that league because they wanted players getting paid more, but not from there, which makes sense. Now, scrum feed here for the Highlanders. Currently 2 points difference between these two sides. Good man, says BTW. They will just put this one into touch, the Highlanders. And that is going to be now half-time between these two teams. 14 points to the 12. That's okay. I like the white chocolate macadamia and M&M cookies. I quite enjoy the M&M ones, but the thing that annoys me about them is they're smaller, or at least they look smaller than the other ones. And I don't know why. I guess maybe M&Ms are more expensive than chocolate chips. But it just seems to be anytime you get an M&M cookie, they're slightly smaller. I don't know whether or not that's just a my local thing. Although it's not really my local, it's 30 minutes away. Right, man, got the job. Jamie's record without Brown is pretty ordinary. Landers got the wooden spoon last year, says Hartley. Although, was Jamie Joseph in the coaching last year for the Highlanders? Because I know he got thrown in there, but... 1 second. Oh, I can't type. There we go. Finally got some words out. Oh, no, he was the head coach. Sorry, I must have been thinking 2024. Are we over there? Nariki and Whakatawa are so washed. Says Jordan. Green macadamia ones are goated. I don't think I've ever had a white chocolate macadamia cookie from Subway. But now I feel like I should. Footballers get 5+ million minimum. So does that mean you're going to become a footballer / TV rather than a rugby player? Probably because the M&Ms are more dense, so in terms of grams, that cookie can be smaller but weigh the equivalent. Maybe. Maybe get out some scales. We'll do a bit of an experiment with it. Now they're showing KFC as well. That seems to be the halftime ad of choice. How do we always end up talking about food, by the way? I don't think... What was the first thing that started the food conversation? Bullabro says, Asala, welcome in. You are doing very well. You're excited for the upcoming matches that are taking place. The next one will be Blues versus Moana Pacifica. That one's going to be kicking off, weirdly enough, in 2 hours 15. Normally, the game taking place at 4:35 is the earliest game of the weekend, but this one actually starting at 4:10, which means there'll be 25 more minutes in between the contests. I'm the lead. I'm the lead because of food talk, says Pro Pleb. Actually, yeah, I think you did start it, didn't you? I think it was something about the McDonald's in South Africa, although surely someone got him there first, right? I guess Jamie Joseph was the mastermind of receiving the wooden spoon. Says Jason there. Seems like Moana's got it this year, unfortunately for them, unless something drastic happens in their game around the corner up against the Blues. Yeah, that one is kicking off in 2 hours and 15 minutes time. So this is actually going to be a good size break. Like probably about an hour 15 in between the two live streams, which is something, like I said, we're just not used to. It's enough time to have like food and whatnot. But I will also be scheduling those later ones. These streams are at dinner time, so it makes sense, says Pro Pleb. I actually don't mind the earlier kickoff too, to be fair, rather than 4:35. 4:35 kind of puts you into no man's land by the time the game's finished. You know, you're looking at about maybe 6:20 if the game runs smoothly, 6:25, and then you haven't got a lot of time in between. Now, I'm just saying it wouldn't be wise to put all eggs in one basket, says Splash TV. I think no matter what sport you choose, well, to a certain extent, any sort of active sport, being fit's the big one. But then at the same time, you mentioned about ACLs. The last thing you want to do is to do a whole heap of strenuous activity trying to get fit and then do an ACL then. I think it's just like anything in life. There's like little risks that come with it. But I think fitness is the main thing because then you can just adapt to any sport. Fitness and strength. Golf is easy. Yeah, although people have a few back problems in that. I should have a back problem with how I was hitting the ball the other day on the golf course. It was shocking. In fact, that was yesterday. I have my scorecard here, and it was not good. First round of 18 that I have played in a very long time, and it showed on the scorecard. There were a few 7s in there. 3 to be exact. But, yeah, not ideal. 10-pin bowling. Yeah, well, eventually slinging a ball around would also be a bit rough on the back, I would think, and the fingers for the way that you try and spin it, although normally your fingers come out before you spin it. What was the total? Says BTW Bad. So I want you to guess first, Paddy. And I'll say whether or not you're right, and then I'll tell you anyway. But first round completed of 18, I want to say in about maybe 2 years. Somewhere around there. I want to play at the World Cup next year, then retire. Wait, the Rugby World Cup. Is that for Zimbabwe? You mentioned about how you've got that Zimbabwe connection, right? 126. Okay. It wasn't quite that bad. It went not terribly. Bobsledding would be easy until you crash. Those things go quick. I feel like every sport's got its dangers, doesn't it? But that's what makes sport sport. The risk and the reward factor. But Rumi Whakatawa, that was just a really good first try that they managed to score off the inside ball of Frank Lamani. Low was able to score about 3 minutes later. Lower than 110. Lower than 110, believe it or not. It could have been worse, I will say. I'll also give you a hint. I didn't lose a ball the whole round. I tried to many times, but I eventually found it amongst the leaves and the trees. And just show them the last try of the half as well. Highlanders being able to score it right before the end of the first 40. Zimbabwe at the World Cup, they certainly are, yes. They managed to qualify not too long ago, 103. Still a little bit lower. I feel like I'll give you one more guess, then I'll just tell you. But Rabitu also scoring for the Fijian Drua in what has been a very even game. Now, according to the odds, this was expected to be very even too. So it's living up to that expectation. Semi-final, says Melanea. This is kind of a little bit of an equivalent of a playoff final. Because whoever wins this still, I believe, has a chance of making the top 6. Whoever misses out here, I think, probably doesn't. I'll be conflicted on the Barbars game, says Splash TV. Yeah, that's South Africa versus, the Barbarians game. What about that South Africa versus Zimbabwe matchup? We have got the 99 cents BTW pads, 4 less. I shot a 95, which I wasn't completely disappointed with because, like I said, it could have been much worse than that. Speaking of golf, I think Happy Gilmore 2 was kind of terrible. It was I didn't mind it, but it was always going to be very difficult to do anything like the old school days, if that makes sense. The weird, rotating greens and fancy technologies where they kind of lost me a little bit. Before then, I didn't mind, the storyline of it and whatnot, but, all the weird robotic golf was a bit strange. Landers need to seriously review their roster, says Hartley. Will Zimbabwe be worse than Namibia or Uruguay? Don't know. It's hard to tell because we haven't really seen them in terms of up against big sides in recent times. Zimbabwe beat Namibia 2 times, 2024 and also 2025. Says Splash TV. If these sides, I would say, are not too far away from the second half. Remember the usual $5 donation if the Highlanders manage to win. I wish others would have a system to support your channel also. Says Jason there. And to be fair, they've won 4 times throughout this season, so they are slowly adding up. Oh, okay, we got 6 minutes 15 until the second half gets underway. They actually had a timer on a screen in the Highlanders changing shed to make sure that they didn't run late. But looking at what else is to come for these two sides, for the Fijian Drua, their next game will be up against the Waratahs, although they do also have a week off next week. There's actually only 4 games of Super Rugby. Wait. No, never mind. I'm getting my weeks confused. Yeah, I am. Sorry. Crusaders have the bye not this next week, but the week after. Fiji and Drua have the bye next week. Then they are up against the Waratahs, the Force, and the Reds. I think if they beat the Waratahs and Fiji, they will be well and truly in the mix in terms of potential of making that top 6. But they'll probably have to win at least one of these 2 games up against either the Force or the Reds away from home. Something that up until their game up against the Brumbies didn't seem that likely. For the Fijian Drua, for the Highlanders, their games that are coming up, that's not it. This one is. They have got the Waratahs next week, so both of these sides do play the Tars, and then they have the Chiefs and the Hurricanes. I would say that they've probably got the harder run out of these 2 sides to the playoffs, the Highlanders, if they were to drop this matchup. But yeah, still a lot that can change in the near future. These are also the games next week. Some brilliant ones taking place on Friday night. Crusaders versus Blues, as well as Reds versus Chiefs. Then the Highlanders play the Tars, the early game on Saturday. Moana Pacifica versus the Canes, and the Brumbies versus the Force. Now, depending on what the Brumbies do in their upcoming game up against the Reds, it could be the game that fully gets them back towards top 3 in the standings. Yeah, I don't know which one I will be supporting, says Splash TV. I just didn't quite feel like a Happy Madison movie, says Pro Pleb. Because what was the previous Happy Madison one that's come out? It was one with Adam Sandler, right? But it's probably, like I said, very difficult to be able to do a modern version of it with, I'm looking through Happy Madison movies. Oh, it's not going to tell me what years they came out. Unless I find it. The Kiwi leads, says Blondie NZ. Hello, says a Blondie there, welcome in. Should I go to the Chiefs' last home game, which is against the Blues? Will be my last game at FMG this year, even if the Chiefs do get any home finals. I would say do it. Only because, like, I'm also one who hasn't... Well, you've been to a lot more games than me, of course. But I would say if you get that opportunity and you have the funds to be able to do it, you might as well go support your side for one last time. Like, I'm going to Crusaders versus Chiefs with the other Kiwi lads. Something that was a little bit of a last-minute decision. It was actually after the live streams last week that we decided, you know what? We want to see the new stadium. We didn't get tickets for All Blacks versus France. So we might as well just go and have a look and see what it's like. Work out the hot dog prices for ourselves and see whether or not they are any good. So I think everyone's more excited for the food rather than the game. But, you know, still be exciting. Ours AFL is bigger than rugby. AFL's pretty big in Australia. You see sold out games at the SCG and all sorts. Like, they're pretty crazy about it, but in the best possible way. You'll love the new stadium, says Jasmine. And we have got there the Highlanders having a bye in the last round. Certainly doesn't work in their favour to make the 6, says Jason. Yeah, they kind of have to do the business early, don't they? They have to get the job done straight away in their couple games to come, and then they just have to sit back and hope that they get the chance. All I want for Christmas is the Hurricanes to go to the finals so I can get some work in Wellington, says Pro Pleb. And they've got a decent chance. I feel like we're going to have another lucky loser situation, though. And I haven't worked out who it's going to be in the top 3 that drop their game. But if anyone does, I feel like, you know, losing that home field advantage is normally pretty brutal. We saw what it did for the Chiefs last year, having to play up against the Crusaders. I think it was away from home in the end, wasn't it? You were hanging out for a gourmet hot dog. The thing is, though, I'm not really a gourmet hot dog kind of guy. I'm happy when there's a stick through the bottom of it. But I don't think they have those. They have the fancier ones, don't they? Second half of this one just about to start up. There will once again be the 20-minute drinks break that they do have halfway through this second half. But currently the 2-point lead for this Highlanders team. Christmas is a school. Christmas is a school. The Blues to drop their game, says Jordan. As in, like, up against Moana in the upcoming contest. One is just around the corner. They are talking to Ben Smith. That man has had his identity confused by many people throughout the last couple of years, so much so that the Highlanders actually had to release a statement saying that Ben Smith was not the journalist because he kept on getting death threats from people. So they had to try and sort that out. We have good there now in the playoffs. Okay, I get you now. We have there Ben Smith, says Blondie. And there as well. All right, Greg Fleming. Saying to keep the tempo here for the Fijian Drua. Try and play quickly. Try and take the Highlanders out of this game. 2 handy benches, though. I feel like this game will get very good throughout the final moments. McBurn watching on. Now saying that he's finished as the Flying Fijians coach, so this will be the last game for McBurn watching in Fiji for a while. That man looks like he's important, but I'm not sure who it was. I'm going back to the Hallelujah. We need to win this, then beat the Waratahs to even have a slightest chance of our last 2 games realistically being smacking. Ben Smith's related to Conrad Smith and been looking. Said Blondie, that one's going to be kicked downfield from the Highlanders. Bench is not working. Well, they're not out there yet, no. They will get some work in the second half, though. A little bit later on, Toso Drua Toso, says Seriana. One's going to be kicked into touch. On the halfway line, the Fijian Drua will have themselves the line-out throw. This is where really make or break for the Highlanders, because I think if they don't score within the first 10 minutes, the draw will take the momentum as the game wears on. It's my slight prediction, but it's probably going to be wrong. We're good at getting wrong predictions. In fact, much better at getting them wrong than getting them right. It's quite a skill. Now, Fakatava back into the pocket. Cam Miller goes for a kick. To be fair, I could have predicted that the Highlanders would kick this ball 20 times throughout the first 10 minutes of the second half, though. Something that they have done throughout the rest of the game, but now a big run forward from Joe Tamani. Now away to the left-hand side, Isaiah Armstrong Ravula. Middle of the field, trying to get through, was Ezekiel Rabitu. And back to the right, Timo Mainavanua. Tackled by Angus Ta'avao. Finds Leliawasi. He will go for a kick of his own. That one's gone very high. It's taken a while to come down. Big jumping catch attempt there from Cam Miller, but he has knocked the ball on. And now finds Leliawasi. He's going to go for a kick in behind. Bit of space. No, never mind. Jacob Rata Matapuki Nepkins. He was a long way back waiting for that one. And he boots it into touch. We've got there Ben Fitness Ryan. Thanks, so very kind. The only reason why you're getting downvoted. Ben Fitness Ryan. And the Z's from Blondie Z. I have no idea what's going on at the moment. And Tosso from Siriana. And there as well. And Zero. Says Blondie. Zero what? On the way to the left. Finds a Leliawasa. Moving on to the right-hand side. Now, nice attack and run from Ezekiel Rabitu. He has got the pace to get around Jonah Lowe, and the Fijian Drua score early in the second half, only 3 minutes in. And that is going to make the score now 17 points to 14. If you think your prediction is bad, you should see my result of bets on TAB. I only have one successful prediction this year. Ooh, that is a bit rough. Although, I don't think mine would look much better if I did actually back things. Other than that Fletcher Null one that I never put any money on, but I said about how I had a player that I thought was going to score, and I'll write it down. And that was Fletcher Null. That's probably the only thing I've half by got right. But now, it's not the start to the second half that the Highlanders would have been after. So Armstrong Ravula has the most career points for the Fijian Drua by quite a bit. Mine would either be good or just bad, says BTW. So we'll go like that. Yeah, we'll go like that as well. That one's going to be missing away to the side, and it is 17 points to 14 now. Keep up the good work, says Sean. Thank you very much. We have got another game just around the corner. The Blues taking on Moana Pacifica. A lot of movement happening in terms of the overall table here. The Fijian Drua, if they win this game, they are back in the running for a chance of a potential playoff final spot. Now, it would not be too easy. They would be more than likely up against the top seed, but that'd still try and give them a bit of a run for the money. One's going to be put up high. Nice take from Masoa Nasilasila. 44 minutes through, though, in this matchup. 3 points separating these teams. Finds Liliawasa. Cross to Hereti Hitet. He's in the group told to get out of that breakdown. Ollie Haig trying to charge that one down. Nice take from Jacob Rata Maitavuki Nepkins. Now Miller again just kicks it away. I think Jonah Lowe is down with a bit of an injury. He's been down multiple times throughout this game, looking for the grubber in behind. Was Rabitu, but it couldn't quite go through. I'm going on my second one now so far, and it's, says Blondie. I'm confused. What's happening, Blondie? What's the scenario here? You're on your second what? Like second match of the weekend, maybe? I don't know if I can get a hold of you, but I have a question for you about the car that I have. A car? I didn't know I was buying. Wait, am I buying a car from you? I haven't even been looking at cars. But I'll ask away. I'll let you know probably the wrong answer. Armstrong Ravula. Let's kick that one into touch. About 45 and a half minutes through the contest. Probably about 45.5 metres out from their own line here, the Highlanders going to have to defend the line out. They still don't feel like they've hit their full stride yet, this Highlanders team, but they have had some times where they've been able to come out absolutely firing for a few minutes. They probably need about 2 tries and 5. Be well and truly in control. That one's going to be kicked high as Armstrong Ravula, beautifully taken. Manages to spin out of the tackle attempt of Jonanariki Hernandez. I'm starting to wonder whether or not maybe, have you got another, Hernandez for rugby, have you got another stream open of some sort and you're trying to send them messages on this one? Now offloaded, Dunshay's got it, tackled by his opposite, Maya Navanua. Now back across to the right, the Mothi, Tavanawai running it sideways but slips over. And Jonah Lowe almost has the ball stolen off him, in fact he does. Now Varumi Pakatawa trying to get through Fakatava. Way to the right. Now Silla. DOI. Said Blondie. Now straight run forward from Josefa Tamani. That was forward to Timo Mainavanua. Now, whether they check this or not could be a different story, but it was forward by about a metre. But as we've learned throughout this weekend, 4 passes don't count. Zarel Tongiatama offload to finds Leliawasa. The last situation. Oh, tell you what, Tonga goes to Hitet, who is going to fall just short of the try line. I was about to say the worst case scenario here for the Highlanders is to give away an advantage, because then if they go back for the penalty, that then cancels out the chance of the forward pass. Masaki Donge is right there on the line, but he's going to recycle it backwards. They are just short. That's a big clean out from Tima Maya Navanua. Ezekiel Rabito is screaming for the ball on the outside. They haven't gone to him yet. Ilya Thanakaivata has scored it. Again, it was a forward pass to Timo Mainavanua, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be checking it. So in that case, the Fijian Drua have scored. And Cortez. And we didn't draw, says Blondie. And Gandis with the question marks in there as well. But the Fijian Drua just continuously going phase after phase there. Okay, are the Highlanders maybe asking the question? Bulavanaka from far north Queensland go the draw. And yeah, Ilya Whanakaiavata managing to score that one. Conversion has gone over. Oh. Okay, there were 2 things he was looking at, grounding and that, both were clear. Now, I don't know if that was the forward pass that they were checking, but it's a try. It stands on the board. And now 10 points difference between these two sides. The Fijian Drua, they are well and truly firing up now. I'm just going to go very quickly back and have a look. Maybe I was being too critical. We're just going to see it in the build-up here. Bear with me for half a second while they do get ready to kick it off. Yeah, that's a clear forward pass from Joe Tamani to Timo Mainavanui. He also went for the offload like that, but threw it in a forward direction. So they've probably gotten lucky to get away with that one, the draw. But you got to take them sometimes. Now Lamani, going away to the left-hand side. Ref would like a peaceful beer in the bar later, says Mark Kiwi. Now left-hand side goes through the hands of Jacob Rata Maitavuki Nepkins. So 30 minutes left. Have to try and break this momentum. The draw have now created. Frank Lamani going away to the left-hand side. Who's the ref in this game? It is Paul Williams who is in charge of this one. Lamani. Oh, drop ball there from Sawane Vakina. He's made his way onto the field. Did anyone realise that Tanuelu Talia's been out there for 50 minutes? I haven't seen that man carry the ball once. It has been all Tamofi Tavanawai in that Highlanders midfield. I do see a few other changes. Daniel Leonard-Brown is on. Seo Lamau is on. Zoane Vakina, Sean Whiffy. So they're actually emptying the benches here by the looks of it, except for maybe the backs at this stage. I don't see Tane Robertson, and I don't see Tito Harris. And also Lucas Casey, Adam Lennox haven't been put on yet. Bit of an injury here for Hereti Hitet. Looks like some sort of shoulder or arm injury. It seems like Teneri might almost make his way on. Tongneri does come on. Currently still 29 minutes. That's a long time. 10-point lead. That man's asleep. Oh, no, he's awake now. He was chilling in the crowd. I think he's just been spotted and realised that they may have caught him with the eyes closed. Bonus point for the Fijian Drua if they do get, I believe, one more try here. Then they would need it to continue in that fashion. Kick down fell from Isaiah Armstrong Ravola. Take there from Jonanariki. I've kicked it again. You know, when you're just watching what's happening play by play and then you realise what's just occurred. But Jonanariki, he may have got that ball back. Yes, he has. Back in my day, if you argue with the ref, they will march you back 10 metres. Says Pro Pleb. That one's gone extremely high from Izakili Rabitu, almost off the side of the boot as well. It's going to work out nicely here for the Highlanders to have a line out. In a very crucial position on the field. Ready for the line out. Showing their strike rate of 23% for the Highlanders when it comes to scoring tries. And inside of the 22 off lineouts, Zoane Vakina throws it in now to Mitchell Dunshay. The rolling maul, it did bring them success for their second try of the contest for the Highlanders with Vivini Lasanga. Man who was able to score it. In club rugby they do still. Says BTW Padza. Said through the middle. That ball doesn't come out and well defended at maul time from the Drua again. They will get themselves the scrum. I do want to say the Highlanders have made a few mistakes today, but the Drua are making it bloody tough for them to be able to find any sort of decent momentum from this contest. Now, have the Highlanders kicked the ball away too much? Probably. But the Fijian Drua, the breakdown work as well as just that physicality game, it's really been boding well for them here. A couple more changes are being made too. For the Fijian Drua, I do now see, I believe it was Pini Ravai making his way on. And also Tangi Vatua. The land is way too negative. You can't win a game by kicking the ball away, says Hartley. Yeah, they just don't seem to want to run it. But they've got three guys in their back three who can run the ball quite well. But they just don't seem to be doing it. I don't think this game's one that's going to be won by territory. We saw that earlier on in the game when the Landers had all the territory in the world but weren't turning it into points. That one's wheeling a little bit too much of the scrum, so it will be a reset here. A referee just saying there, both sides not really going straight in the scrum. Now down to 26 minutes on the clock. This is for their season. In terms of both of these sides currently in the overall standings. 1 second, we'll go like this. We'll get the updated table as updated as they can. Currently the Fijian Drua, they are in 10th. Their points differential is a little bit rough compared to the sides above them. But if they were to win this game with a bonus point, they would move right up to 7th and only be 2 points behind the Reds and 4 points behind the Brumbies. Now, once put into touch, they do actually play the Reds later on in the season at Suncorp Stadium. That might be the game that determines who gets that 6th spot, depending on what else happens here. Meters made. Fijian Drua have had 407 The Highlanders, from their same amount of carries, have only made 239. Now offloaded back, so whenever Kenner goes now to Broughton. He had some great runs last week up against Moana Pacifica. That was another one there, making about 15 metres on the post contact, almost dropping the ball there. Daniel Leonard Brown. Now a step from Tenuelu Talia. Quiet day at the office for that man at 13. Cam Miller moves it on to Jacob Ratamai. Tavuki Nepkins, he did a handstand, and it's going to be the advantage now against Lamani. Now across. We all only care who's in first, says BTW Padza. At the moment, that is the Canes. Sitting nicely. They're going back now for the penalty again. And Whakatava not having a great time today. See, that's the thing. I don't think they'll... Well, actually, no. I think they might do it very soon. I think you've got to get Lennox on. And it sounds weird to say, but the youngster in that scenario, I think, will be that little bit of a spark on attack that the Highlanders actually do need here. Whakatava, he's obviously been given a game plan, which is kick it downfield, win the territory battle, and eventually that will lead to points. But that hasn't really. And they got a little bit lucky there with the fact that the Fijian Drua gave away a penalty on defence. That then gave them the attacking opportunity. Thrown in by TK Howden, to TK Howden. Second time we've done that on the stream. Now rolling nicely, so Aneva Kenna. Has it been dragged down legally by the Fijian Drua? Yes, it has. And again, they trap it in there. The Highlanders just can't find a way through in many aspects of this game. We have got there, I saw that Germany got 308 for 1 and 20 overs the other day. Who were they playing? That's impressive. Turnovers conceded 12 compared to the 8 of the Drua. And just rolling forward. And then that ball just didn't come out. Fijian Drua get it back. Austria, says BTW. Right, Joe Tamani's coming off. So the Drua still actively making their subs. That'll be for Isoa Tuwai. And right, Lennox is now on the field. How many more points do you think the Chickens score? How many more points do you think the Chicken... Who's the Chicken? Is that like a nickname for one of these two sides? I think that the Fijian Drua has still got 2 more tries in them. I think the Highlanders have at least got 1. I think it's going to be a relatively high... Oh, Vivini Lasanga. He's saying he didn't knock the ball on. He's saying it went backwards. They wanted to check it, though. He may have stolen that one at the back of the rolling scrum there. Highlanders lost this one. Unless, goal line dropout. It is a knock-on from Vivini Lasanga there. Cut off the back. He was saying it went backwards. Okay. Fijian Drua have also been told to speed this one up by Paul Williams. They're actually only a couple minutes away from that 20-minute drinks break as well. One's kicked off long. From the goal line, Nareki goes across to Broughton. Doesn't shy away from that heavy collision that he's often in. Game seems pretty stop-start. Yeah, and even in the open play, it's stop-start as well, just from the kicking. Lennox now, though. I think that's going to change for the Highlanders. I believe he's their best chance of getting... Oh, no. He's passed it to Zoane Vakina, who has just dropped that ball cold. No pressure on him. The hands are really letting the Landers down, but now the Drua, they've knocked it on as well. They will be going back to the initial knock-on from the Highlanders. Every 20 minutes they have a beer, says Pro Pleb. And if the tactic is to kick for territory, then it's the wrong choice against the wrong team. Yeah. It's probably also the wrong competition to be trying that tactic in. Kimi Valentini going to make his way on. The Highlanders get hiding to the Fijian. Rumour there's going to be an upset, a real observation. Expect this, says Kyle. What the heck? When I left it was 14-12. Yeah, 2 quick fire tries coming for the Fijian Drua near the start of the half. And the Fijian Drua Going very nicely currently. But the Highlanders, they made their switch. Whakatava off, Lennox on. And I don't think Tito Harris will be too far from making his way onto the park as well here to try and change the game. We're just seeing it there, how... That was actually quite interesting, that replay. It showed Sawane Vakena knocking the ball on, right? And a penalty awarded to the Fijian Drua for the scrum. And then what happened from there is Vaveni Lasanga, who is Sawane Vakena's teammate, obviously was frustrated with the fact that Vakena dropped the ball and actually shoulder charged him in the ribs from behind to push him into the breakdown. Now, it wasn't like a legal joining of the breakdown, nor was he from a position like behind the ruck. I hope that they don't look at that one too closely and like the training and whatnot, because Lasanga's done a bit of a cheap shot on a teammate there, which you don't see, I was going to say very often, but at all that I can think of. Now it's a quick throw taken by Fines Lelewasa. Armstrong Bravula's been taken off for Kimu Velatini. Bounce of the ball is an awkward one for Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins. Not good enough Highlanders yet again, and 67% says Fiji. We go with the majority, says Val. And also we've got the Island and Absolute. I thought the hanging in this would be a William, but clearly not. He's just mad for effing up a try. Yeah, but to do a cheap shot on your teammate seems really strange. Like, don't get me wrong, you shouldn't be doing cheap shots on the other team, but it makes more sense to at least hit someone who's not wearing the same jersey as yourself, doesn't it? Rather than, like, being frustrated at a teammate and going, you know what I can do? I can get a little bit of a dig into his ribs just to let him know that I'm annoyed with him. Make him think the other team did it. Drua Killers at home, says a real Ando. Now, chip in behind from Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins again. The ball is going to be on the side. Oh, partially charged down for the kick of Kimu Valentini. Got there in the end. Chipping in behind this time was Tito Harris. Rumi Whakatawa cleans the ball up just out from his line. Looks for the risky offload. Well picked up there by Rabitu, but the counter ruck, that's a penalty in favour of the Highlanders. We have got there, take it out on the opposition with a good tackle, says Kano. And it's a yellow card for the Fijian Drua. This is giving me Brumbies Fijian Drua throwback for what happened in their game in Canberra. But it is going to be Ezekiel Rabitu, the fullback, sent from the field. And I from Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea. I go the Drua, says Sean there. And Drua were favourites. They were $1.67 to about $2.10, I believe the odds were for the Fijian Drua. I can zoom in on your beard and count the hairs. Tell me how many there are, because I hope that there's more than there was last year. It's still not quite growing right, though. Now we have you there. Are you angry today? Not that I know of. But I guess we'll find out later on. Maybe. But no, not that I can think of. George has already been round today. We ended up getting some lunch. We ended up buying something that broke the bank a little bit. But she'll be right. Problem is the Landers aren't good enough to take advantage of it, says Hartley. And also we've got the, where is it? Imagine a Drua home final. It would be incredible. But for that to happen is impossible from here, I believe. Unless the Drua theoretically were to finish fourth. Then all top three would have to lose their playoffs. And then the Fijian Drua, I think, would get home because of the lucky loser. 2,476 years in your bed. Do you know how many there were last week? Is it like more? How's Lamani been on the wing? He's had some decent moments. I've seen a few times he's really keen to get back in as a halfback, which makes sense. That's pretty much his instinct. But you know, he hasn't been too bad out there. We have got there's Hano on. He will be for the Reds Brumbies game later on. And I woke up late. It's okay. Only 7:33 a.m. here, early morning. Says Ruth. Now, 19 minutes remaining at this stage. No excuse now, Highlanders. Oh. Fixed it. I don't know why it does that, but it's done it more and more lately. I might have to get a new ring light. And the Highlanders getting a hiding. I wouldn't say a hiding. They're not out of this game yet. Definitely if they score now. I just woke up, sorry about this, Hamish, says Mohadeen. Is in like the question of did you have KFC? We didn't, no. KFC's too far away. I love you, Grey Hoodie Hamish. I'm having another cup of tea. Well, these two players, or these two sides, have recently come off their drinks break. Now, Lennox feed this ball, and they are 7 metres from the Fijian Drua line. This is the perfect position to be able to get something going. It's another scrum reset. Landers are not producing, says Splash TV. Yeah, the last time that they scored was 38 minutes. Oh, they've just said that they've never beaten the Highlanders, the Fijian Drua, or the Blues. Those are the two sides that they have never been able to defeat in Super Rugby Pacific. The Highlanders definitely don't want to be the first side to suffer the loss. Not that it's a bad thing. We've already seen the Hurricanes, the Brumbies, the Force will suffer that same defeat. Brumbies twice, in fact. Ball's fed in by Lennox. It's not coming out there at the back for the Highlanders. Looks like Broughton will run this away to the right. It's been hit very hard by Ilya Thunakaivata. Ball bounces out the side. Adam Lennox does very nicely to be able to keep it on the side. But again, the Fijian Drua, they are relentless. They get into the breakdown. They rip it away. And that is going to be a frustrating one for the Highlanders because they had about 2 or 3 men in that breakdown ready to try and stop the Jackler. But he was just too strong in that case. Jamie Joseph for the ABs. Says Splash TV as Fakatava and Tamofi been smashing each other in the collisions. They haven't run at each other too often. Virumi Fakatava's had a good game though. So has Tamofi Tava Nawai. But in a weird roundabout way, even though they're both playing as well, we haven't seen them go head-to-head too often. I think there's been 1, maybe 2 times that they've collided. But a lot of the times they've been able to find those gaps in the opposition defence beforehand. Out Fiji on March, says Ruth. Yeah, brilliant still for Ilya Thunakaivata. The camera actually gave credit to Asawa Tuwai, but it was Thunakaivata who did the hard yard early and got the hands on the ball. Line out here for the Fijian Drua, goes down the middle and now rolling maul. Collapsed by the Highlanders straight away. Poor rugby by the Landers, says Hartley. Yeah, that was their chance. Up against a 14-man Drua. That's when they really needed something to go right. And also, we there, did the Drua ever beat the Chiefs? Yes. I can't remember what year it was, but it was in Fiji, I'm pretty sure. They had one season where they beat, was it the Chiefs, the Hurricanes, and the Crusaders all in one? Was that? Maybe? I can't quite remember which one. Maybe I'm mixing up my years. Lennox grabs that ball now for the Highlanders. Frank Lamani must be pleased with his team's performance. He will be, but there's still 15 minutes left. Penalty goes the way of the Highlanders. Yeah, this is where the job is done for this Fijian Drua team. They are playing with a man down for the next 7 minutes. When he returns, they'll have about 7 minutes remaining. They have to get through. Other games you're doing, says Mohadeen. So we have got the Blues versus Moana Pacifica as the next game. That is taking place at 7 p.m. New Zealand time, so in about an hour, 20 minutes. Then from there, Haino's going to be doing Reds Brumbies. Then I'm going to be doing the Leinster versus Toulon Champions Cup semi-final. And then maybe Exeter versus Ulster semi-final in the Challenge Cup 2. They won against the Chiefs, says Kano. Okay, referee's not happy. Okay, long conversation there between Paul Williams and Mitchell Dunshea. Terrible form from the Landers. Too many beers last night, says Regan. Yeah, they've just looked off. Oh, and that's an overthrown line out as well. It goes from bad to worse. The Highlanders, every time they almost get an attacking chance, they try and find a way of losing. Or at least losing the ball. I can do the Bath game tomorrow. Not sure yet. It's either going to be Bordeaux versus Bath or it will be the under-20s South Africa versus Australia. But I haven't quite decided as of yet. Now, ball's there. Passes across to the right-hand side. This one's going to be kicked high by Frank Lomani. Now chasing after it. Didn't quite cover the ground. Big tackle on Jonah Lowe. Offloads up to Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins. He's got about 3 men on his outside. Sells the dummy. Now goes to Tito Harris, Tenuelu Talia. They were in touch for the Highlanders. That was their best attack that they've had in a long time. It must have been all the carvo last night at the hotel. Do you think South Africa will win tomorrow? I think they've got a pretty decent chance in the game up against the Aussie under-20s, although Australia will be a little bit more competitive, I believe, than Argentina, although that game did finish a bit closer than it looked like it was going to. Highlanders' defence is lacking. And we're just going to see it there. Tenuelu Talia, just the 1 foot on the touchline was all it took. And the flag did go up. Fijian Drua looks like a couple more changes. It's 17 lineouts won throughout this match, the Highlanders. They've lost the 2, though, and those have been quite crucial losses. One's going to be overthrown. Oh, what was that? That was a really weird situation. It looked like Asawa Tuai was going for a diving catch. And I was not straight anyway from the Fijian Drua running across the field. Yeah, that's smart. At least they didn't kick it, says Hartley. It just shows, though, how many metres they can make if they don't kick the ball away. Lennox now goes off to Tenuelu Talia. Nice step from him. Sitting 20 metres out from the Fijian Drua line. Looks like they've got a little bit more protection in their breakdowns now too. Committing 2 men early. Try and keep this ball alive. And on their side. Now off to the left-hand side once more. Can it go to overtime? It absolutely can if it is a draw at the end of regular time. There might have been a knock on there. Referee, they've got the penalty advantage against the Fijian Drua. Seula Mau. No. Going back for the penalty. Or is he? Okay, Fijian Drua were offside before the knock-on. Tane Robinson, he is on for Timothy Tavanawai. That's a big change. And it's the drink. Made from the ground up route. That makes me crazy, says the real Ando. And also we have the Avanami Fakatava, good player too. How many minutes left? Still another 12 minutes remaining. Oh, tell you what, the scoreboard's sleeping. There we go. 12 minutes remaining in this contest currently. And 4 minutes remaining of the Fijian Drua yellow card. There is still plenty that can happen. Lucas Casey is also on. So I think that is everyone now out there on the field for the Highlanders. Highlanders all on Pully Market betting against themselves, says Mark Kiwi. And Fiji has went dead, says Nigel Mohammed. They have gone, that's the thing, they scored 2 quick fire tries at the start of the half, and now they're starting to struggle a little bit. Out to the wide channel where Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins offloads Tane Robinson. He's in touch again. But they'll go back. No, they won't. There was no penalty advantage. The Highlanders driven out once more. Casey should have started, says Hartley. Who would you have started him instead of? Lasunga or TK Out? And I think that Broughton's done all. Oh, no, to be fair, Broughton is in a position where Casey has played before, hasn't he? He's been in that number 8 jersey. Oh, terrible line out from the Fijian Drua. But Sawani Vakina has knocked the ball on in the in-goal area after stealing the line out. His hands are not attached for this game. That's about the 4th time he's knocked the ball on too for Zawane Vakina. We've got to see this again. He catches the ball and just loses it as he tries to go for the extension to try and place it. I don't even know what to say. Normally, don't get me wrong, he isn't known for his pristine handling, but this has been... Oh, it's another knock on. This time from Lucas Casey. The Highlanders can't catch a cold in Fiji at the moment. 10 minutes remaining. And the draw back in possession. Lasunga bring on later fresh. It is something they've actually used as well, isn't it? Viveni Lasunga off the bench. Now, kick downfield finds a Lelia Wassa. Time is ticking. Is it raining? No, it was raining earlier on. It's humid, but Fijian Drua aren't having too many troubles catching the ball. And neither are many of the other Highlanders players. Right, they're going back for another penalty in favour of the Fijian Drua. I told him not to touch the butter, says Kano. Okay, so offside will go against the Highlanders. Change. Says a knock there. Must be slippery out there, says Ziggy. Yeah, but some players are doing fine. It's just the weird situation. He can't keep his hands out of it. They are just showing the next rounds for the Fijian Drua. They've got the game up against the Waratahs, then the Force, then the Reds. It's their final 3 games. They are also, I should mention, only 1 try away here from getting a bonus point in this contest if that is the way that the scoreline sits, which would then push them right up to 7th with a great chance of propelling themselves towards that top 6. They're just showing the replay again. There's a great tackle from Frank Lamani to force the ball out of the hands of Sawane Vakina. What's your thoughts on the new Christchurch Stadium? Looks really good. By the sounds of it, everyone who went, there weren't too many who weren't happy with it. Oh, that's a terrible line out from the Fijian Drua, and it will be the advantage now. Going against this Drua side, it seemed like there was a little bit of incohesion there. It looks like maybe a bit of an injury here for Ilia Whanakaivata too, as he landed on his neck. Go the Drua, says Sean. Yeah, I'm going to show the replay again. Yeah, it's a hard landing. Almost like I think maybe even on the back rather than the neck for Ilia Whanakaivata. Now 8 minutes remain. Fijian Drua, they are still ahead by the 10 points. Joseph Tamani, is he doing okay? He did very nicely. He did get replaced by Asoa Tuwai not too long ago, but Tamani had some good solid carries, some solid tackles along the way too. One's going to be kicked downfield from Jacob Ratamaitavuki-Niepkins. That one is understandable. Oh, and tell you what, that's a 50-22. And now the Highlanders are going to have another attacking chance. This game isn't actually over. Just confirmed, 17 lineouts won by the Highlanders. Correct, yes, they have lost 2, although now I think they've lost 3. Lennox takes it quickly. Oh, Jonah Lowe's just knocked the ball on again. This is brutal. For this, they've dropped the ball in the breakdown this time, the Drua, but it's all play on. It seems like they haven't actually counted anything in that scenario. A bit of a counter-ruck there from the Fijian Drua. About 3 of them went in off the feet. So it seems like it's going to stay on the side of the Landers. This game is slower, right, says Pro Pleb. Yeah, no one seems to be able to get more than a couple phases together before something happens. The stadium is world-class, in my opinion. It is better than FMG. I love FMG. Says Jasmine, now in the midfield. Teniwelu Talia goes up to Jonah Lowe. Wide cut out past to Xavier Tito Harris around the halfway line. He will be tackled by his opposite number. And Tui Tabo. We over there squeeze, says Ruth. And there's another knock on from the Highlanders. They are down by 10 with 6.5 minutes remaining up against the Fijian Drua. They have never lost to the Fijian Drua either, but they're trying their best to do it here. Professional rugby players, by the way, says Bro Pleb. And Drua put butter on the field, I swear, says Kano. Do you think extra time? I don't think so. I think that the Highlanders have had about 5 chances in the second half to score a try and get back into the game, and every single time they've blown it. We have got there, Hamish, they're really enjoying this epic game, says David the Mod. Yeah, it's just knock on after knock on at the moment for these two sides, but it has got the potential of a close finish. Definitely if the Highlanders can somehow pluck a 3-pointer out of thin air here, or maybe even the try. Going to be a party in Bar tonight. Fijian Drua will want to come to Bar a lot more, I can tell you that right now, because they have won every game here so far. Just the one, but this would be 2 if they get the job done now. Highlanders garbage at rugby. The coach has no clue, says Morgrel. And we have got their... have they found out what caused the cup and saucer fire? Not that I know of. I think it was something electrical inside, though. Maybe was what I heard a while ago, but I don't know whether that was true. I wonder if the Highlanders players are wearing sunscreen. Have made the ball slippery, I assume that is, from Ziggy Bear. Is this championship over for the Landers? Not completely, but it gets more difficult if they do lose this game. Another scrum reset, 5 minutes left on the clock now as it slowly ticks towards the full time siren. I'll just quickly see the table. So currently the Highlanders are on 20 points. If they were to lose this game, they would go down to 9th. because of the New South Wales having, or the Waratahs, sorry, having a better points differential after this game concludes. Maybe the AB's dodged a bullet regarding Jamie Joseph. Says David the Mob. Very hard to tell, but I feel like, yeah, it will be interesting to see what does happen in that department. Rennie obviously will want to get off flying in July. Lamani tries the ball on the outside, goes to Jacob Ratamatavuki Nepkin straight into his hands. Good morning, all. Says, hey, no, welcome. Another knock on from the Highlanders. At this stage, I should have one of those soundboards. And every time the Highlanders have the ball, I'll just click the button that says another knock on from them. And it looks like Tenuela Talia may have hurt himself in the process of that one. Bit of a counter ruck there from Lucas Casey, but it's still there for finds Liliawasa. This wasn't part of the plan, says Haino. Certainly wasn't, but it certainly makes things interesting at the same time. Nice run from Kimi Valetini. Going on the outside with the pass. It was intercepted by Xavier Tito Harris. No forward momentum for him, though. Lennox goes for a weird banana kick, but this one's going to stay. No, it doesn't. Goes out on the full. And the Fijian Drua now with another chance to get an attack going. If they score now, they get the winning bonus point. We get the full 5 and move up to 6th on the standings. 5 minutes on the clock, but 15 minutes before it finishes. This might be the final score. This is definitely not the coach's fault. The kicking has been not the drop balls, and the Highlanders are pathetic today. Several chances gone to waste. Yeah, I don't think, and I know they've had a couple rough games throughout the year, the Highlanders. I don't think I've seen a poorer performance from this team this season. Just the amount of times they've dropped the ball. To be fair, the Fijian Drua probably would feel like they should be up by more. That's a good run from Asoa Tuwai. Still looking for their bonus point, and this will be the perfect time to score it if you're the Drua. Finish this game on a high. Looking for the counter-ruck was TK Howden. Landers needed this, especially after the Waratahs loss. Here's the real Ando. I guess you could argue that the Fijian Drua, they really needed it as well. A bit of a counter-ruck that was accidental offside. And the penalty awarded to the Highlanders. And at what point would you consider there to be some sort of corruption going on? Always turning the ball over instead of scoring. Where there is smoke, there is fire. They need to outlaw sports betting. I don't think that's what's happened here. I think it's just been a poor showing. But I agree that, sports betting has not helped sport in terms of any sport around the world. Maybe it's brought more eyes to certain sports, but most people who are betting on the sports are just keeping an eye on whether or not they win or not. But it's certainly then, there are more questions put out there. But I don't think this is one of them. I think they just haven't been good enough. In this case, the Highlanders. They've come to Fiji, the hot conditions, and they just have not played a good game of rugby. Take the 3 Highlanders, says Moadine. They might have to consider it soon just to try and break the chain. Although, nice run from Tane Robertson. Offloads up to Sean Worthy. Jonah Lowe. He's dropped the ball more times than he's caught it in the second half, but they will go back for another penalty in favour of the Highlanders. Now 90 seconds remain. This will be an interesting one because the Highlanders, once the 80-minute siren sounds, they will want to get a bonus point for being within 7. The Fijian Drua will want to get a bonus point for being 3 or more tries up. So I think both of these sides will keep on playing here. Now looking for the steal, another advantage. Goes against the Drua. They're looking for that desperation turnover here, which I think this is the first time they've actually been a little bit, like I said, almost desperate to get their ball. Nice chipping behind. Jacob Ratamatavuki Nepkins. He's dropped the ball again. So they will go back now for another penalty in favour of the Highlanders. Can't the player change the coach's game plan? Seems a bit stupid not to. Depends. Because if you change the game plan and it doesn't work, you're not going to be popular in that coach's opinion. And then at the end of the day, in a way, the coach is your boss. So, it's like the equivalent of getting given a task at work in terms of having to write up some sort of, the Highlanders have kicked that ball dead, ladies and gentlemen, looking for touch. So the Drua have got the ball again, this time at scrum time. And they can go aggressive and try and get this bonus point, as the Highlanders have no way of catching them now. But a bonus point here for the Highlanders would also maybe lower the Drua's chances of making it through. I think the Drua have to go for it, though. Drua not using their chances. Yeah, imagine if they had a clinical last 30 minutes, the Fijian Drua. They could have been up by a lot more than the 10 points, that is for sure. But yeah, it's like getting told to do some sort of financial report for your boss, and then doing a completely different one and saying, this is what I think I should have been doing, more than likely your boss is going to at least sack you a little bit. So it's the same for rugby players. If you're given a game plan, you kind of got to stick to it, or you reap the repercussions. Ball's there. Fijian Drua. Yeah, they're going to go for another attack here with Basilala. It's going to be tackled in a hard one by Broaden, who was on the ball, but he gives away another penalty. I'm back, says Fijian boy. How are you? Doing very well. You are doing well also. No. Fijian Drua, they're calling for the... What are they calling for? They look like they were calling for the post there. I hope they're calling for the corner here, because it would make no sense to go for the 3 points here. Okay, Kemu Valetini looking to the corner. That is the right call. I thought for a second they were just going to go, you know what, we're ahead by enough. How many rounds till the knockouts? Only maximum 4 games for sides from here. The likes of the Hurricanes and the Reds, they had 4 games remaining. Whereas for a lot of other sides, only 3 more matches. The Fijian Drua, they have got the Waratahs in their next game. And then they've got the Force and the Reds. Yay, draw win, says Sean. Yeah, they have secured their first ever win over the Highlanders, but the game is not done. There is still time for the Fijian Drua to go for one last attack and get that bonus point. Their line-out has been atrocious, says Ziggy. Yeah, it's struggled big time since the change has been made. Tangi Vatua hasn't quite found his rhythm. Yeah, that's a poor line-out. That was a really weird-looking thing. But it's fallen somehow on their side. It's one of the softest line-out throws we've seen. And come on the draw, and Fijian Drua can beat the Springboks, says Clifford. Now it's still moving in a forwards direction. How much time is left? They are after the full-time siren. But the reason the Fijian Drua are continuing to attack is because if they score again here, they would get themselves a bonus point. That one looks like it's trapped in there. No, they're told to leave it alone. TK Howden was looking for the big steal. Now charging forward again here. The Drua, untidy stuff, says David the Mod, and they wouldn't mind a penalty advantage if it is potentially on the cards. Looks like Broaden may have hurt his knee in that last breakdown. Basilala going away to the left. Can the Drua get the bonus point? That well and truly gets their season back on the right track. Crowd will be loving it. They absolutely are. In Bar, they have got themselves 2 wins from 2 now. They'll be wanting to go back to the stadium every week if they can. Now pick and go. The Tosso Drua, Tosso chance are going around the crowd. The Highlanders theoretically can still get themselves a bonus point from this game if they're within 7, but they would have to score some more points. The Drua 1 metre short. That looks on the line. And the referee rules it as a knock-on. Surely that's at least worth a check. Right. The referee has it as knocked on. Finds Laliawasa is begging them to look at this and at least check it. That's going to be the end of the game, though. We're going to have another look at that. Was it knocked on? Don't get me wrong. The ball did travel forward eventually. That's pretty close. I don't know if you can just straight away call towards a touch judge who has about 7 players in front of him and ask him if he saw a knock-on or a grounding between coaches getting the sacked and the shops in New Zealand getting liquidated. Looked like a knock-on. I think the ball eventually did go forward, but I think before that stage there was definitely a chance that maybe the tip of the ball had been grounded. Potentially, at least close enough to maybe have a look in a situation like this, I would say. And I think about 3 of the Fijian Drua players felt like they did get the grounding from who? The Fijian Drua, with the side going for the attack. But that is the end of this contest. Ladies and gentlemen, 24 points to 14. It is a win for the Fijian Drua. Their first time ever beating the Highlanders by 10 points as well. So that stops any bonus points for this Highlanders side. Nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And we are about exactly an hour away from the next live stream. That will be Moana Pacifica versus the Blues. So be sure to tune into that during this break. More than likely, I will be scheduling live streams, getting them ready to go for the Champions and Challenge Cup that is taking place in the near future. Nonetheless, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all for the next one.